Morning. To call the Executive Committee meeting for Tuesday, May 23rd to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Tripp.
Present.
Mr. Legess. Mr. Olthoff. Mr. Hess. Mr. McConnell. Mr. Scott. Mr. Snipes. Mr. Byrne. Mr. Seroy. Mr. Hildebrand. Ms. Weber. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Lear. Mr. Wheeler.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's see. Don't have any public comment this morning. Presentations. Do have the approval of the minutes from April 25th. Motion to approve. Mr. Hildebrand, second. Mr. Byrne. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We'll get to the appointments. Information Services. Mr. Duval, do you have a report today? Oh, I apologize. I skipped right over Steve.
He's ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't mean he's been there.
15.
Hold on a second. This is what we came here for today. Sorry, Steve. I apologize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I was at the UCCI meeting yesterday. We had three excellent speakers. One was the Economic Development Director from Whiteside County, who presented a concept in terms of promoting economic growth, dealing with what are called second stage entrepreneurs. These are companies that have advanced beyond the startup phase but haven't reached maturity. And I will be sharing this information with the Economic Alliance because I think this is an excellent follow-up to their Enterprise U. They may well have some companies that are in this stage beyond, but some of those that won Enterprise U a couple of years ago may now be at a point where they could take advantage of some of this information. So I'll be passing that on to the Economic Alliance. The next speaker we had was the attorney that represents UCCI, and he gave a presentation in terms of the statute relating with the Ethics Commission. Obviously, this has become something that's on the radar of a number of groups, and the work that is being done, our county, in getting our Ethics Commission in shape is right on target because it's getting attention right now. And so I think that what he said really is the kind of information that we've already heard in terms of our Ethics Commission, and we need to recognize that it's good that we got caught up on that. The third speaker was Rich Miller, who some of you recognize as a journalist who covers the State House. He indicated that he doesn't really have a lot of good news. It's still a mess down there. But it is true that there's been a great deal of progress from what he hears in terms of workman's compensation, a bill in regard to that, progress on something that might be an agreement in regard to term limits. He said in any other year, the questions in terms of what the budget would be are in what he called the rounding error. But because of the kind of the way the negotiations have gone in the past 2.5 years, there's a great deal of ill feeling on both sides. And that rounding error on the budget is going to, in another year, it wouldn't make a difference. In this one, it may. The big thing still that really hasn't been sorted out is the property tax, of course. And in terms of that, it's still unclear where that's going to end up. The governor is not going to be willing to negotiate much on that. One thing that was mentioned that a part of the grand bargain in terms of if they throw in the school funding issue, a school funding reform would undoubtedly have some kind of provision for hold harmless. But there is a debate over what does hold harmless mean. Does it mean hold harmless in terms of funding per pupil or per district? And this is, of course, a big difference in terms of certain school districts, particularly the Chicago public schools. They're seeing a decline in their per pupil numbers. And if they get a home harmless on a per district level, they would be happy, but if they get it per pupil, they would not support any school funding reform. So that's something that they're still struggling with. In terms of legislation itself, there really wasn't much that was referred to that had a direct impact in terms of our county government. The one bill that deals with insurance pools is still being worked on, and there is still a real danger that that may pass with some negative impact in terms of where we're going to, what it will mean for the company that we have our liability insurance with. But it is something that'll have to be worked through if it does indeed pass. Another bill that probably won't get through but would have negative impact if it were to get through is House Bill 156, which has to do with expanding the senior exemption on property tax. It's a bill that would mean that a senior exemption would be given to a larger number of individuals. As individual taxpayers, many of us in this room might qualify for getting that extra, but the impact on the county would not be good for us. Fortunately, it probably is not going to get through. It's one that has to be watched. House Bill 156. Also, there is a bill that doesn't directly affect anyone on our board at this time, House Bill 923, that is dealing with holding a county board office, being a county board member and being a township officer would prohibit the two from happening. That's still being massaged with some amendments that are trying to take care of the issues that might arise in terms of probably some of the smaller counties downstate, smaller population counties downstate. One bill that our recorders talked about that was not mentioned down there but was in the report that was submitted by UCCI, the written report, House Bill 3036, the one that Recorder Gadboy has been looking at. That currently is on the calendar order of second reading as of May 17. And so it is moving forward, but its progress is maybe slower than I got the impression we were going to have. So hopefully they can get it through here at the end. So those are the major activities that took place at that meeting.
Appreciate that. Any questions for Mr. Lear? Mr. Snipes?
Just a comment. After reviewing that bill dealing with the township, it's my understanding that they're going to let, once the bill passed, they're going to let the township, if continue to finish out their term of office.
Yes, that is correct. That is one thing that has been added as an amendment.
Right.
Did that get picked up in the Senate? Because
Yes.
it passed the House and that was what the Senate amended
Yeah.
it to? Okay. I was curious about that. That was going to be my question. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Lear. Appreciate the information, as always. So we're going to skip over Kevin Duvall. No, I'm just kidding. Information Services. Kevin, you have anything for us today?
Excuse me.
I'd like to just touch on a few things to keep you updated on what we're doing. As you're all aware, in the last couple of weeks, it was the major worldwide outbreak of the WannaCry virus. Since you're board members, you should know the steps that we take to prevent such a thing. We didn't get hit by it at all. Because of the previous measures that happened, or things that happened, we have taken preventative measures. You as a board approved certain actions that actually helped us be prepared for it, so we were already covered before it happened, based on decisions that were made. You guys allowed it to happen previously. The process was, breakout happens, we hear about it. What we do, since it really came to a head over the weekend, we as a department, we start auditing our reports and making sure that all of our antivirus databases are updated and pushing out and scanning. Our antivirus software is server-based, and we have clients and everything. They scan nightly. That's why we need everybody's desktops to stay up. And during the day, they provide protection. We make sure that all of our servers and desktops and patching. That was the key to this one, is making sure you have all the patches. If you don't have it at home, you're very susceptible to it. Then when we got in that Monday, we came in and I had Jason go through and do a physical audit of every machine, because we're reading reports. We need to know that it actually happened on the machine. So we went through every single machine and looked at that, and we saw that all that did happen. But we did have a result of the physical audit that changed things. It's not going to cost you more money, but there's actions that I had to go to specific department heads and say there's something else needs to happen. There were 3 machines that were still running Windows XP. While we patched them, they were critical machines to do important parts. I'm hesitant to go into what they do, but they're critical to what the operation of the county is. One of them is extremely important. It's patched, but it's protected against this one. But because of the age of those machines, it's potentially very successful to all of the other ones. So I made arrangements to say that, all right, we can rebuild these machines. I will provide for my department out of my budget, because it's not that major of a cost. Updates to your operating system. I need you to talk to your vendors and make sure they can run on this. I'm sure they do, because you shouldn't technically be on this as it is. They all agreed to that. We're moving forward with that. They're patched now. We're more worried about the fact that they have to be on the network. I don't want them jeopardizing anybody else. I don't want them jeopardizing, and they're critical to their functions through the county. If something happened, you'd know which ones they were. So I had no pushback on it. We're all moving forward on that. Nobody should, between agreements that we had, no one should come back to you and ask for additional funds. It's not that kind of, any additional cost should be in the hundreds of dollars, not tens of thousands of dollars, but they're critical. They should be there. And I would think they would have it in their budget to do something like this. As far as the SOA moving to the 6th floor, we're on top of that. We've already done the networking, switched over. They moved out starting Friday, schools. We came in there, I came on the weekend, and I looked up and I went through every office down in our basement. We had previously decided what we were going to do. We just needed to see what it was going to look like once they were out. And you guys should thank Brian, because that was a mess when we saw it. And the fact, the level that he got that cleared to by Monday was kind of amazing that they got that. We got everything switched over. We had already had a plan, but we were able to do that. We had to do a little bit more work because some things were more broke than we thought, but it's things that we have to have on hand to operate as a department anyway. In fact, once we get done with this meeting, Jason will go over and finish the part. We already have all of the machines, but 2 sitting upstairs in the back room. They still had to operate as a department, so they're closing down today, and I believe They're going to do one truck today, one large truck, try to be done. We can only go so far because all the desks have to be up before we can finish reinstalling them. But all of that's ready to go. They'll finish the desk moves, I believe, today. The phone guy was in yesterday. Our part has to be a 2-day because the desks aren't up. We can't do anything, so you have to split that up. The next part of that, I've addressed it, briefly talked about it in some of our other meetings, but it's something that now that we're here, we're moving forward to, and I've already sent an email to the vendor. State's attorney had no servers in that building or internet access. We were leasing a line through the joint venture between the city and the Daily Journal, fiber connection between their location back to the court campus. That was an ongoing contract. That contract still exists. What I sent an email to, I'm the one that set that up for them. We used to previously do everything wireless, as you know. Wireless drops in and out. Since we had the fiber, it worked beautifully. We had already been working on the same fiber here to the courthouse campus anyway, so we implemented that. What I sent in a request was to see if they would allow us, because they're basically paying for the bandwidth, seeing if they'd allow us to light another one of their fiber that they already have here. Not for them, but because of the project I believe that Brian brought to Highway and Buildings last week about the phone system, and I said, hey, there's additional things you have to do. Once I found out about that, my anticipation is what you pay now is already in the budget and it's always been budgeted. So you'd have no additional costs. If to complete what Brian's project was on the phone system, if they allow us, I would hope they allow us to light another line, put the phones on that one, and allow them to do the connections where basically if they're in the same department in different buildings, they have to dial the whole 1-800. That would allow them to just do the 4 digits. That's up to you whether or not you pay for whatever the rest of that. My comment at that time is you hadn't talked to me. No, we will not make any changes to the data network based on the phone, and no phone vendor should be on the counted data network.
Right.
They can send notifications to us, but they can't have direct access to the county network. This would satisfy all that and wouldn't cost you anything in effect because you had been budgeted to do that anyway. Just put in a request. It would be up to you whether or not you wanted to go that route. But I needed to have some options available to you on what to do with that, so you're not just flying by blindly. So I'm not asking you to make a move. I'm just notifying you.
Sure.
That's what I was thinking about.
If you're available tomorrow when Brian brings his wish list to finance, that might be a good time to discuss that in concert with that situation. And then finance can make a more educated decision. I would think you guys would agree that around finance, I think that's probably a good idea. So
it doesn't affect his cost. His cost is an additional cost, and you guys could direct that. I was just telling them the possibility does exist. It's just that we're not changing the data network. Here's something you could do as potential alternative. So just letting you know, that's where I don't have an answer back, so I can't even tell you if they'll allow us to do that. They may say, no, that was here to here, and this isn't that. You have to do something else. Then I say, I don't know that it's worth it at that point.
I agree.
Okay, the next thing would be an update on the judicial working committee that we have. Judge Kramer called a meeting of our working group. We're dealing specifically with the state court, Illinois Supreme Court state mandate that all circuit courts by certain deadlines be using their system. One of them comes up in the beginning of July. One of them is January 1 of 18. What Judge Kramer did is call a group of people together, and he asked me to be there. I'm an advisor for the working committee, but I give them support because a lot of what they do is technology. What he did is he wanted specific answers from personnel inside their various offices of where they were standing. He gave specific assignments to people to move forward. We've had a couple of those meetings. I think they were very productive. Everything got focused. I believe from what we've what's happened after those meetings, that they should meet their guidelines. I briefly talked to you in previous meetings that they maybe do server upgrades. He put all that on hold until these deadlines were met. The priority for the circuit court is to make sure they meet the minimum standards, so the 21st Judicial Circuit Clerk is in compliance on July 1st for e-appeal and on January 1st for e-filer. From what I've seen, they should have no problem meeting those deadlines on the base level. That's basically what I call manual. It's not manual, they're using computers. But people with existing workload would have to add something to the workload to do these process. I believe the judge's thought process is you're doing that manually now. Just change what you're doing that to doing that, and we'll look at automating that process later. If they go to automating that, which a lot of counties will be doing, our size and larger, that will have a significant cost to it. That's why I believe, can't speak for him, he was focusing everything, get it done first, do it the process that basically costs you nothing, and then we can measure that against what's the cost to automate this. Is it worth it based on caseloads and how much additional work?
And to clarify, I just want to make sure this is clear in my head, and we had talked a little bit about this. The $150,000 allocation out of the automation fund was to make it so this was completely automated. Press a button, everything interfaces between Courtview, which we're one of only 2 counties in Illinois, I believe, that have it. So it's a special type of software upgrade that has to be completely developed custom for this. Or what Kevin is saying, if I'm understanding correctly, there is a portal that already exists where we can upload into that, and then our circuit clerk's office can download from there. And that won't cost us anything. So I think what the chief judge is saying is let's be financially prudent in this and see if this works. And if it doesn't, then we can use the money that's already allocated and available in automation. We've discussed that in finance. It'd be better to use that for something else if we don't have to spend it, wouldn't you think? So this was really good
That's
news.
exactly the thought process. On top of that, the measurement of whether or not you meet the deadline is only measured on what you just said.
Yep.
Is all right. And to be fair, I think logically we would all say you can't really measure what the justification is for. I think they're still going to automate it at some point, but you can't truly justify how much you want to spend on automation until you know what am I trying to automate it and how much do I need to do.
Yep.
So I believe they're attacking this is exactly right. I'm not saying that they're not going to come back and say they need to do something. I'm just saying the measures we just took the last couple of weeks, there shouldn't be any costs coming to you for right now. And all server grades that we talked about are on hold until they do things, which again, I believe is prudent.
Yes,
So-
I agree. Thank you.
And that would be it.
Appreciate the update. Any questions? No? Thank you for your time. We have Health Department, John Beavis. Do you have an update, John? No update today? Okay, appreciate it. If you ever do, let us know. Thank you. Schools, Greg Murphy is not here today. I don't see a report in the packet. Yeah, we don't get a regular report. We do get quarterlies, I believe. The VAC, Michael Roof, with his monthly report. It is in the packet. So we would need a motion to approve. Mr. Burns, second. Mr. Snipes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Morning.
Morning. How we doing today?
Good.
Awesome. Well, I don't have too much here. As you see, my reports are included. Still waiting for the bus that we were awarded. They said summer or fall. We're still waiting for that to show up. We had a benefit that was put on back on the 12th at the Majestic. We didn't really do that. We were just partners with the Credence Revive group that brought in about $5,500 that the band donated and gave to the VAC. That was a very nice gesture on their part. They were just really looking because they needed to do a promo CD and they needed people there. So they didn't need the money. So since I helped them get people, they donated the money. So it kind of worked out in our favor. So,
I can tell you the people had a great time. They want it to happen again.
yeah, well, we said we would help put it together if they wanted to come back one more year. I think we could do it with that band one more year because there was so much word of mouth of people missing it that we could do it one more year. So I don't know. It didn't take a lot of work. I can tell you that. So for the return. Veterans Court, we have 3 people that we are waiting to accept in for one reason or another. And we have 2 that are possibly graduating, 1 in July and 1, maybe even 2 in September. We're not sure about the third one. Other than that, our new location is still working out great. Don't have any problems with that. Just trying to see when the sorter, if that could ever leave and open up that other office. We'll figure that out.
We're sorting that out now. See what I did there?
Very well, very well. But other than that, I don't have anything huge updates or anything. So
Alrighty, any questions? I guess that's it.
thank you.
Moving on to personnel HR issues. Lynn Mackin.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, I'm just here to advise everyone that out to the county emails, you should have received an email from Donna Ryan from IPRF concerning your training for sexual harassment and diversity. So if you haven't gone on your Kankakee County website, go on there and check your email, and the video's about 15 minutes. Then you have a short true or false questionnaire to fill out. And then you can actually go in and type in your name and print off your certificate, which if you would please give me a copy of that so I know you have completed your course. For those that maybe do not have a computer available or they'd rather not go online to do it, we will try and do one group training where you can sit after the board meeting next month. And we can show the video here, and you could manually take the quiz if you prefer to do it in that mode. I've had a couple call me and ask to do that. So, okay, any questions?
Mr. Snipes.
Just one, because I've taken 2, one through the school district, and then because I'm a minister, the national organization requires us to go through the sexual certification, and we had to print out. And again, are those printouts sufficient? Because it looks like it's the same course.
Right. This is not mandated for the board. It is suggested. So
But
100% should be absolute positive for you then, right?
right, that's what I'm saying. But would those certificates do?
No.
No.
No, it's suggested.
I'll leave that up to you if you'd like to do the training or if you don't.
For employees, it is.
No, I was thinking would those certificates do? Because both of them give you the certificate of completion after you do the video. Would that simply do, or do they just have to have?
No,
this?
if you want to give me a copy for your file, we could certainly do it that way.
Oh, okay.
And I can tell you it took me all of maybe 7 minutes to do it.
Well, the church one was
Well, the first
longer.
time I had to take it 3 times. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just I did pass the first time, but no, it's very quick, as far as to get through it. So
There you go.
There you go.
I was going to say, I know a couple of you have already completed it, so I thank you for that.
All right. Thanks, Lynn. Appreciate it. I'm sorry. Any questions for Lynn? Besides that? Okay. Thank you. Carol? All right. Administrative issues, resignations, appointments, and reappointments. Announcing the resignation of William Bacon from the Moments Pembroke Union Drainage District Number 1. And the appointment of Bob Sherman to the Moments Pembroke Union Drainage District Number 1 to finish the term of Mr. Bacon. The appointment of Andrew H. Wheeler to the Kankakee County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Appointment of Alan Lamore to the Mantino Drainage District Number 9. Reappointment of Donald W. Ship to the Mantino Drainage District Number 9. Reappointment of Douglas Gray to the Kankakee County Farmland Assessment Review Committee. And let's see here. I guess that's it on that one. I want to make sure because it's split page. Okay, yeah. So that's all of the resignations and appointments. Need a motion to approve.
Is that
Mr.
Andrew?
Tripp, second. Mr. Lear, any questions?
Is that Andrew Willard Jr.? No.
Yeah, I don't know about that guy. No. Mr. Lear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might mention one of the things that was referred to at UCCI meeting is based on a 2013 amendment. Every appointee that the county makes now is covered by that ethics ordinance, and we're expected to advise them of the fact that they are responsible under this ethic ordinance.
So advised. And if you're wondering why I'm joining, there's a couple of mayors on this. There was 3. And being that the CVB's contract is up for renewal renegotiation coming up in this next year, I figured the county, being very concerned in the marketing of this area, I want to make sure that we have direct input into what we're doing as far as the outreach outside of this county. So I might know a couple things about that. So it wasn't like I needed or wanted something else to do. I thought it was important to get involved there. So any questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Announcing some openings. One opening on the Kankakee County Board of Health. That's a dentist. To be honest, I don't know what to do. We might have to start sending out letters. I mean, this has been going on. So, Mr. Snipes?
I contacted Dr. Sarita Jones, graduate from the University of Illinois, but Dennis been here for, I guess, about 15, 20 years, and she was interested. I just had not gotten back
Okay.
to her to get the paperwork. I want to make sure that I give her a number where she can call, which I think is here,
Sure.
3642.
Yeah, and then the application's actually on the website. So
Oh,
they can
okay.
go to the app, I think it's on the forms page, the online documents.
Oh, okay.
Download it and then email it right to us. Real easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just ended up. That's a new thing, I believe. We just put those out there a couple of months ago. So we have also an opening on the Kankakee County Historic Preservation Commission. That's an attorney, but I just got the application from the current attorney, so that'll be gone as of next month. I just got that yesterday, I believe. One opening on the Cavery Area Fire Protection District, and 5 openings on the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. So those are the announced openings. I will move on to other business. Is there any other business that the committee would like to take up?
Just one.
Mr. Snipes?
The ethics committee, I know someone someone called me, but I don't forgot who it was. And they were calling concerning, I guess they applied for the ethics committee, but have they gotten that committee together? They first asked, do we have one? I said, I'm sure we started the process on it. Don't know if we
Yeah,
got
and that was actually one of my other business updates, so I'll handle it now.
Okay.
There is a page on the website that says who the commission members are, if you will. So that is up. The mission of the ethics committee is up on our website. We do have a draft of proposed, I want to say bylaws, because those bylaws become the county code on how we handle ethics. I don't want to say accusations, but reports of unethical behavior or the process that we go through. Okay, that is something that I was working on with the state's attorney's office because I was concerned that I didn't want the ethics advisor, because there is a position that we still have to fill of ethics advisor that kind of guides this whole process. And I didn't want it to be myself, and I didn't want it to be the state's attorney, because what if the complaint came from either of our departments? I needed to be someone from the outside that was impartial. And currently, as the code is on our books right now, it's the state's attorney. And so we worked out that language. The thing is that we don't necessarily adopt those bylaws, if you will. The ethics committee has to meet, and then they choose a chairman. They also choose the terms by lot. They'll figure out who's got the 2 and who's got the 3-year terms to start off with. They adopt them and present them to us as additions to the county code. So once I've reached out to somebody who I thought would be a good ethics advisor that would know the law, and I'm waiting to hear back from that individual, I would make the appointment at the advice and consent of the board. So I would bring that person back to the board for your advice and consent. So it's moving. It's just not as fast as we would like, you know. So there's just a couple of steps I had to go through. The key position is that advisor, because they do a lot of the legwork. They're the ones who have to know the law and know, well, this is actually a criminal act. This needs to go to the state's attorney, or those types of things. They need to be able to negotiate that process. So,
What I thought would have probably been a good candidate is a retired judge, if they would, you know, because they out, you know, they ain't got nothing else to do. No, I'm not gonna say that. but I thought that would have been a great opportunity if there's one that existed.
I would agree with you. So yeah, that was one of my old businesses, if you will. Just an update on that. Was there any other business that anybody had? Mr. Hess.
Thank you, Chairman. I was contacted after the board meeting last month, or last 2 weeks ago, by 5 different people from my area wanting to know why we did not read the resolution for the state's attorney's office. They say we're trying to be open and everything, and they say that we saved $100,000. That resolution should have been read into the public record. We waived the reading of it. And something like that, in my opinion, and I told them I'd bring it up at the meeting, that something with that much importance and everything, instead of waiving a reading, we can spend another 5 minutes here.
Okay.
But
And just so you know, I agree with you. The state's attorney had to get to the courthouse. He was due in court, and that was one of the reasons we were moving that along. But I don't know if I could do that part of old business next month. Maybe at the board meeting coming up, I could read that as part of old business to get it in the record. Because frankly, I realized that I have not seen the contract assigned for the early termination of the lease. That was going to be on my agenda for today, was to get that over here to sign that, because only I can sign it. You authorized me to sign it, not somebody else.
Right.
So, but that is a good point. So what I'll do is if that's acceptable, we'll throw that on the agenda and read it as
I
part of
think
old
it'd be
business. Yeah. And then I could tell everybody the agreement's executed, because we've only got a few days left, about a week until the end of the month anyway. So
good. Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Snipes?
Do we put our minutes on the website? Because generally, if we put, like, the school district puts their agenda and then board meeting on the website for publics to, you know, ascertain, I believe that if we do that,
We do, and the video serves as a great way to get minutes instantly,
right?
because usually we have to wait until the following month to approve minutes, and we are doing a great job keeping
Right.
up with the current minutes, and we're filling in the ones that we still but yeah, no, we're doing a good job on catching up on that stuff. We're getting really close to being done. Finance committee meetings are the hard ones, because they go on for sometimes 2 hours. That's a lot of work. But yes, we are getting caught up in the minutes, like we just approved last month's for this meeting at this meeting. So yeah,
So that's another way that people
yeah.
can check, you know.
the video, I got to be honest, is the best way. But
Right.
to Mr. Hess's point, the reading of the resolution is important as well, especially when we're saving that much money
Right.
by the board action that we took. So, any other questions? Old new business? I guess a motion to adjourn. Mr. Legess, Mr. Snipes, all those in favor? Those opposed? Have a great day.